again to the Garena Pro Gaming Series promotion and relegation. We are watching the first matchup that's between the Manila Eagles and Infused Esports, and the current standing is at 1 for Manila Eagles and 0 for Infused. And we are your shoutcasters for today. My name is Aika, and with me here is Atlas.
Of course, after that first game, it seems like Infused has a lot to adapt to, because it seems like they weren't playing to their win conditions. They were positioning really dangerously, really questionably. Their itemization as well, I don't think was on point. Of course, they were kiting a lot. They were kiting really well, but they didn't have enough damage to finish off kills and objectives. So we're going to try and see how they've adapted to all of that here in the second game for this best of 3. This could be the last game if TME really plays it well, or if Infused doesn't fix their mistakes.
Yeah, that is true. Again, this is a best of 3 to determine which of the remaining teams will make it to the top 3 slots that are left for the summer split of the Garena Pro Gaming Series. Of course, that will be resuming here mid-May. And remember, guys, these matches are currently being played live at the Pinoy Gaming Festival that is currently happening at Trinoma, Quezon City. So if you guys are nearby and you have the time, feel free to drop by and meet the players and, of course, the rest of the esports community that's enjoying the event. And, of course, this would all not be possible without Bacchus Energy Drink.
Yeah, I think Bacchus is like giving away some free
Drinks?
shots of Bacchus there.
Shots of Bacchus.
Yeah, it's like cups of Bacchus. Just get them when you're watching the game. And of course, looking at the bans, Ivern Galio banned against Suzaku, Zac bans against Kups. They don't want to deal with that tankiness. As for the bans against TME, bans of TME is going to be the same. Graves, Ash, and then Vladimir. Because Varus was not banned by Infused, they choose to first pick it. They are blue side this game, so they have a lot of power behind that level 6 chains of corruption. Side of Manila Eagles still going for that bot lane, Lulu and Kennen. So they're really having a lot of trust in that Kennen coming from Marky.
Yeah, because, I mean, if I were the Manila Eagles, seeing as how well Game 1 played out for my team, I wouldn't be forced to bring out anything else. I mean, the best case scenario is this works out once more. Of course, there's just going to be a jungle change there. But in the case that this doesn't happen, this doesn't work out for Manila Eagles, I'm pretty sure they have something else stored to surprise Infused in case of a Game 3. But for now, it's on Infused to figure out a response to how the Manila Eagles played out Game 1. And currently, they've decided to go with that Varus, the Syndra, and the Elise. So they have stolen away that pick from Trevor, and in response, Trevor is going to respond with that Rise.
And actually, it seems like Awaken was subbed in by Yato, so it's gonna be Yato playing for the mid lane for Infused.
One Yato one.
No, I think it's just Yato.
Okay.
It's like this is for emphasis.
Emphasis.
So yeah, so good read from Infused. They ban out the Fizz and the LeBlanc away from TME. They read that the Gragas is a jungle pick, ban away the top Fizz, which is so annoying. Loss of damage despite being super tanky and uncatchable and slippery. So TME will respond to that top lane Shen with the Renekton.
Yeah, and they've also decided to ban out the Zyra because we do see a lot of Zyra Varus combos in the bot lane, and the Malzahar as well, taking that out. So
yeah, taking away the aggressive supports
yeah, so
here.
instead Infused actually falls back onto Shen and Nami instead.
The Nami, I think, Infused, I think, if TME's read was right, that that Infused wants a DPS bot lane with lots of damage from the Malzahar, the lockdown as well from the Malzahar with Void Gaze, plus the Stranglethorns from Zyra. Having to fall back to that Nami is not bad, but it's not optimal for them if they are going for this composition. It seems like they really want to just go in and then have the Stand United come from Flash to Die to help them out in a pinch. But they do, because Dawn has that Ignite Flash, so they really wanted to go for an aggressive lane. And Nami, having to choose Nami really puts a hamper on that plan. So I really like that ban out from TME.
Again, this is up to Path to Walk, having to make sure that he's really, really impactful in that early game, especially now that he has that Shen there. So we would expect them to be coordinating much more closely when it comes to those risky plays under turret to force TME to lose out in their lane. So they have to be able to do that. In the case that that doesn't work out, and they managed to get forced into the same situation as Game 1, they're going to have to rely on making sure they set up well for Yato in those fights. And meanwhile, on the side of TME, so we have the same bot lane duo there. I would say, given that they already know that Infused is running the Elise, I personally would expect them to play more safely compared to Game 1, their early game in Game 1. But we'll see how the Manila Eagles cleans up their act and shows a more convincing performance here in Game 2 of their matchup. Of course, the Manila Eagles still at the advantage here, given that they are the veterans of the split, and at the same time, they're the ones defending.
Yeah, TME, I think their composition that they've drafted now has a lot more damage. They have top lane Renekton, which is so oppressive, a lane bully, and for the mid lane they have Ryze. Together with that cannon, they have a really good balance of damage and utility. And having that jungle as well, Gragas, respectable pressure in the lane, because the body slam flash is actually really powerful, comparable to Rek'Sai's like flash on burrow. On the side of Infused, they have a lot more damage now. The Elise, I think Hedges or Path to Walk is a lot more comfortable on that Elise rather than the Lee Sin. So I'm expecting him to do a lot better this game than before, because Elise, he has chosen that a lot to the spring split. One of the most powerful, they're one of the queens of the jungle here in terms of pressure. So I'm really expecting him to do and fix his act here. I mean, he did a respectable job in the early game, but I think he didn't exert enough pressure for his team to snowball and for the Lee Sin pick to be relevant. So the Elise might be a lot more effective here. They do have a lot of damage now, actually, and the utility is still there. Varus still has that Chains of Corruption together with Nami, loss of heals, CC and Peel is there. So we're going to see how they fix their act, because it's all about, still about the item, how they itemize and how they position in the team fights.
Yeah, and I would say, because they were on the right track in the early game in Game 1, I would say focus on Lulu in the bot lane. Make sure that you eliminate Shadow before you fully commit to anything, because again, it could still go awry when you go for those turret dives, as displayed in Game 1 when TME remains unfazed against that. So again, ladies and gentlemen, it's already noontime, so good afternoon, and you are still tuning in to the Garena Pro Gaming Series. Promotions and relegations teams are fighting it out for the remaining 3 slots in the top 8 of the Garena Pro Gaming Series Summer Split, and these matches are being played live today at the Pinoy Gaming Festival, happening right now at Trinoma in Quezon City. So again, guys, call up your friends and head on over to that event, and of course enjoy all of the esports and gaming that it has to offer. And again, this is all possible because of Bacchus energy drink.
And of course, if you are quite far away from Trinoma or just way too lazy to go out, we are live at gaming.youtube.com/phgarena/live. Share that link with your friends, with your family, all the other esports fans out there in the comm shops near your neighborhood. There's gonna be, because this is a turning point for the season, because this is where the changes to which teams are gonna be playing at the pro level gonna happen. So is going to be important, but I do think TME, with their performance earlier, they had a lot more restraint. They had a lot more mindfulness in terms of their rotations. It seems like they have a good chance here. And since this is a best of 3, really quick, really fast-paced. So if Infuse can't pick themselves up, it's going to be very hard for them, having to go back to going to Piltover's Finest and then working their way up, back up the ranks. So this is really important for them.
Yeah, if Infused definitely does not have an immediate response to how composed the Manila Eagles is in comparison, they are in a lot of trouble. Of course, they're the ones that have to bring something out here. They're the ones who have to shake the Manila Eagles a bit with whatever strategies they've prepared for the promotions and relegations. Meanwhile, the Manila Eagles just kind of has to, you know, they already have 1 win in the bag, so they're not as pressured. So I would think this is going to have a lot of effect going into Game 2 here. So guys, to everyone who's currently watching, let us know in the comments, in the chat right now, what team you're rooting for. Are you going to be hashtag TME win, or are you hashtag INF win? And of course, if you guys have any favorite players, feel free to send some love in chat. out to them. You know,
Yes,
you never know when they're watching.
There's some really familiar players here. We have Hechizo or Path to Walk. Really high pressure jungler. We didn't see it last game, but it might be because he's not as comfortable in Lee Sin as other junglers. We have Suzaku, we have Kups, everyone else here, veterans of the PGS. So we really need to look at how they're performing, how they've adapted to this season, Season 7, and coming into the mid-season as well. But while we're waiting for game, it's really a test of not their endurance. It's just a best of 3. It's a test of how quick they can adapt, how quick they are on the draw, and how they can just really adapt their game plans.
Yeah,
it's really a game of adaptation.
That's true. That's true. And in comparison as well, I believe for Path to Walk to actually shine, the rest of his teammates also have to take note that they cannot be liabilities, because it's actually the jungler who's in the best position to respond to everything, right? So if you're losing out, if you're making mistakes in your lane, who does everyone call for response or for blame? The jungler. So right. So especially when you're in a composition where it's very crucial for the jungle to do well or to perform. In order for that to happen, you yourself have to be doing well in the lane. So it's up to the laners, especially for that bot lane, to be mindful of what they're doing, and the top lane as well, because I remember their top laner was also making a lot of mistakes and forcing crucial skills to be expended on the side of the jungler and the carries, and you do not want that to happen because you become less effective in that state. So in order for the jungler to shine, in order for Path to Walk to shine, they at least have to play safe for the most part, because you will rely on Path to Walk to go in and make those plays for you, and all you basically have to do is make sure you still have the mana and the health to respond and follow up and take advantage of those fights. And of course, the vision game is going to be there at any point in time. You have to be mindful of the wards and what your enemy sees and what you see, and because of exactly those teleport plays that could be used in response to Path to Walk.
So it's really a battle of the macro at the macro level here, because I think when it comes to micro on the mechanics level, I think these players are near each other in terms of their level. But in terms of macro, it seems like TME was really popping off last game. So that's going to be the most important. Macro play always, I think macro play should always trump the micro.
Yeah, because that's exactly it. I mean,
it starts from the draft.
You can have the best players from the country, and the reason why you don't see that kind of team where you don't just get, okay, who's the top 5 on the challenger ladder and form them into a team. You don't do that, because again, it's not just mechanical skill that comes into play. It's also heavily your strategy, your macro play, your rotations, and how well you execute whatever you've planned. So that's why you would have teams that may be inferior when it comes to skill, trumping stronger teams. Because again, that's always been the comment when it comes to Philippine teams. We do have the skill, we do have the mechanical prowess to be able to match other teams, but I think oftentimes it's that failure to be mindful of the macro play, of what the big picture is, like what is the enemy trying to achieve by starting this fight right now at this moment, and what are you trying to do? Because I feel like Infused, especially in that game 1, for the rest of mid to late game, they were really just reacting and slowing things down.
They weren't proactive at all.
Oh hey, they hurt, let's keep them at bay and
but the bleeding doesn't stop.
Be defensive. But yeah, exactly that. The bleeding doesn't stop. The small lead is just going to keep mounting up until you can no longer
until you run out of blood.
Yeah, and they didn't have anything in response. Path to Walk was a bit more proactive by trying to go for a Baron steal, but at that point it's kind of a desperate move.
Yeah, they were already behind in terms of power spike, and really that macro play talk has been touched on by a lot of pros, ex-pros in NA. That I'm a Cutie Pie video where Cutie said, being challenger doesn't mean you're good, but being good means you have to be able to get to challenger. And being good, it's like synergy with your team, being able to do the macro play. But of course, we are loaded onto the Rift for Game 2 of Infused versus TME. The Manila Eagles is the Garena Premier, the Pro Gaming Series promotions and relegations. It's going to be the first match of today, and this might actually be the last match if TME gets the win.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, give it up to your teams. It is game 2 of this matchup, and all of those things, you know, the skills, the macro, all of that, we're gonna see them shine, and that's gonna determine who's gonna come out of this game. Again, on the blue side, this is Infused Esports with Flash to Die on that Shen top lane, Path to Walk, Elise jungle, Yato subbing in replacement of Awaken on that Syndrome mid, Jisoo on the Varus AD carry, Dawn on that Nami support, and on the other side, facing them off, is the Manila Eagles defending their spot with Suzaku on that Renekton top, Kups on that Gragas jungle, Trevor on that Ryze mid lane, Marky on the Cannon AD carry, and Shadow on that Lulu support.
It's going to be really bloody getting into later in the game. Seems like Marky and Shadow trying to go for a cheese here. So they do have some aggressiveness. CC, slow, and then the shurikens coming from Marky will do substantial amount of damage. But it seems like Jisoo, will they fall for the cheese? Seems like no, they won't. So it's going to be regular laning. And the lines of scrimmage earlier, just putting down wards on jungle entrances, mean that they do want to keep their own jungle there. So that's going to be the game plan here for both teams. Early in the game. Yeah.
And ladies and gentlemen, again, these matches are currently being played live and on site at the Pinoy Gaming Festival, currently ongoing at Trinoma, Quezon City. So head on over if you'd like to witness the players and maybe get some autographs or meet them in person. And of course, this is all made possible by Bacchus Energy Drink and Garena Esports.
Seems like our junglers still pathing on their rather to their blue buffs here, so they are focusing on being able to keep up their mana. Both of these junglers are spellcasters. We're gonna see how they transition this into ganks, because yep, that is gonna be Kups clearing the Raptors first and then transitioning immediately to blue buff, which implies that he is going to try and make a play at the top lane after clearing that. It's going to be
top laners, as usual. Just a normal day for them currently in the top lane. What I'm interested in is how the substitution of Yato in the mid lane is going to affect the dynamic of Infused Esports. Though in the top lane, Flash to Die is in a bit of trouble there. Does decide to use a pot, but meanwhile in the mid lane, while we were looking away, Path to Walk already fell to Trevor, and Trevor, not only that, he also gets a double kill onto the new substitute Yato. And starting off strong with that Ryze pick, it's 0-2, 3 minutes in favor of TME.
And that's actually Trevor. Getting that kill against Path to Walk onto Trevor was actually so bad.
Yeah.
Because that means that he gets blue buff. And a blue buff on a mana-intensive champion like Ryze means that he can just keep pushing on. It means his wave clear and his dueling is practically infinitely sustainable for long as that blue buff is active. And TME being so aggressive here, and since Marky and Shadow were pushing in Jisoo and Dawn, it means that it's much easier for Kups to rotate. It's much easier for Trevor if ever he wants to roam. So having these really aggressive early lanes means that the jungler has an easier time. And Push to Walk has an even harder time trying to get his team back on track.
Yeah, and that's exactly the troubling thing going into this game too, because you had one job, and that's to have apply strong pressure in the early game, but instead you give up first blood to the mid laner of the enemy team. Meanwhile, here in the top lane, Suzaku forced to flash out of that fight, almost dying to Flash to Die Shen in the top lane. He's gonna have to recall for that.
Marky.
Yeah, and to make up for earlier Snafu, we have Path to Walk here in the bot lane for a gank, and Shadow manages to slay Dawn, and Jisoo as well has taken the revenge kill, but meanwhile it's not yet over. Jisoo might want a little bit more of Marky, and Marky decides to back away from that.
Shadow, the brave support with the Ignite, actually allows him to just 1v3 and take away 1 kill. It seems like there was a slight miscommunication there. It says Marky almost went in.
Yeah.
Thinking that Suzaku would follow through with a teleport. Almost going for the 1v2 and dying, but that's still a kill onto TME. Actually a 1-for-1, which means that it's still a small win for Infuse there, being able to 1v1 against a team that's ahead. The kill going to Jisoo is actually pretty big as well compared to Shadow getting the kill. Teams like Kups looking for some damage and pressure here. He might get spotted out by Ward.
Oh no, he is getting spotted out by a face check here by Dawn into that brush, and Kups will have to abandon this. He's going to take this ward with him though. He does have red buff there, so he might stay.
That is the power of Suzaku on that Renekton, being able to just continuously bully out Flash to Die, but of course Flash to Die has his own form of defenses. The Wireless Refuge being able to block out the Ruthless Predator if he times it right actually is so big. But of course, that you can't be denied that Suzaku can just easily cancel the Stand United, which is up, as well as keep pushing him, bullying him into the lane. And what that does is the Stand United is less effective because he has to make a decision on whether to teleport or keep the turret up and healthy.
And in response, actually, Kups has decided to hover here in the spot lane, expecting for a fight to go out, but instead, eventually he does recall, wasting a bit of time, and this bot lane is reset.
Yeah, every second as a jungler is important. But looking at the CS, Path to Walk, because of that first blood, he was behind. And I think, Kups was also stolen a few of the camps, which means he's so behind in terms of the CS. But of course, the CS of junglers is fluctuates a lot. Because some camps give more CS than others. The Krugs give 10 CS on their own. So that might just be the fluctuation. Because for some junglers, Krugs just takes way too long. And as I said, every second counts. It's going to be very important for these junglers still to continue pressuring the lanes.
Instead, they're actually setting up for a lot of vision around this dragon. And now Path to Walk has been caught out by Kups. He's in a bad position. He still has... we have instead the Stand United here by Flash to Die. He goes in response, but they are currently pincered by Marky and Shadow. But instead, they have been locked down, but they're still a little bit low, so they need to back away just a bit in time for Yato to respond there. And Yato, because of that, Flash to Die manages to get a kill onto Kups, and the kills keep coming. Shadow once again with another kill. 1-to-1. 1-to-1, yes, exactly, from that fight.
That actually death from Yato could have been prevented if they didn't overcommit even after what happened. But I think Suzaku's teleport was a bit late. He was trying to push down the top lane thinking the rest of his team was fine.
Yeah.
But they were not fine. They were being collapsed on by 5 members, so forcing the teleport as well a little bit too late.
Yeah.
But that might have been the communication between them, because it seemed like TME was fine there. Suzaku thought, okay, I can just keep pushing top lane, but it seems like he really was needed there, and the DPS and the huge burst coming from that Renekton early could have actually turned the tide of that fight. Maybe we turned that 1-for-1 into a 3-for-1 in favor of TME, but that's still going to be TME 1.5k gold ahead, which is actually pretty big at 9 minutes into the game.
Well, because of those early 2 kills, they were actually already set for 2k in advance. But now we have Kups here on his turn to get caught out. But this time, the kill is secured by Flash to Die. And now Trevor, because he responded, has gotten himself in some trouble as well. Manages to sidestep away from the stun of Yato Syndra.
A little bit too aggressive rotation coming from Kups there to try and steal away the blue buff. Because, yeah, Yato not getting the blue buff is such a huge waste of resources for Infuse, having to invest more mana, and as well as Path to Walk, either of them not getting that blue buff is so painful for them.
Yep.
But here at this point of the game is actually when Flash to Die can start contesting the top lane against Suzaku. Of course, he's still gonna get pushed in, but he can actually try and fight him now because the Grasp of the Undying plus the levels mean that Renekton isn't as strong, but he is still going to be pushed in the turret, and that's actually manifesting in the CS lead of Suzaku. Actually, yeah.
Yeah, I would say Infuse is doing an okay job of trying to catch up of that to that early 2k lead that they gave away to TME. But meanwhile, in the bot lane, we have here a fight ensues. Marky just goes right in with his ultimate from Shadow. And is Jisoo gonna live through for this teleport to come through? And yes, he does. And Flash to Die is already here to back them up. and Marky goes down to Flash to die. He's already 3 kills in. Shadow does his best. He's trying to run away. Meanwhile, Trevor has caught out Yato, but looks like he might be on the losing end here. But no, Kups has come to back him up, does finish that kill, and now Dawn and Flash and Die are trying their best to catch up to Trevor there because he's a few hits away from death. But to no avail, that will just be 1 kill by TME onto Yato.
1 for 1 actually, and even with all of these, it means that Suzaku has a lot of time there in the top lane. I think that 1 for 1, even with Marky getting caught out and overcommitting, I think it's a big win for TME, but of course, Flash died just in time to save the turret. He might be able to get a few hits in, but Flash die can't taunt him with a Shadow Dash, so he's really minding that. But yeah, I think TME getting a little too antsy there to get some kills.
Yeah,
because they don't want to fall behind against a really high damage composition that has Varus and Syndra and Elise. So they don't want to get behind and get snowballed against. But being too antsy means that they're open to that teleport, rather stand united.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit sloppy because the past several fights that they've had has been 1-to-1 consistently. So that sloppiness on the side of the Instigator, not making sure that there's no room for retaliation. And now they've just been cornered. But before anything can happen, they've just completely taken out the AD carry Jisoo there. And with a response by Flash to Die, they might be able to get more. But instead, it's a 1-to-2 actually, because Dawn as well has gone down there. And Shadow was already a little bit ripe for that kill. 2-to-2, and so far no one has come out with that advantage, and Marky uses that cone to hop on over to the safety of the Dragon Pit.
Again, that's another equal trade of kills between TME and Infuse, but it's actually another small win for the Manila Eagles, which gives them a little bit of time here in the mid lane turret. They really don't have the DPS to take it down just yet, but the pressure is there, and it's going to pull Path to Walk away from his path straight to this mid lane, but that's a mistake from TME.
Because right now, Yato and Path to Walk are here to respond. They managed to keep Trevor on the side there, and Suzaku might be in trouble, but instead, he manages to turn the table. He gets a double kill, but in that process, pays the price to Jisoo. That is 2 for 1
yeah, that
in
is,
favor of
that
TME.
is the power of that Renekton early in the game.
Yeah.
Because of how much time Flash to Die spent in other lanes, that means the CS is almost double for Suzaku, which means that he has so much items. He has the Tiamat, has the Phage, and being able to get those 2 kills is huge for TME, which means because they are able to get that turret. And really, I bet one of the casters here for Garena, Vulcan, is going to be so happy when he sees that clip of Renekton getting the 2 for 1 trade.
Oh, he's a
in a
Renekton
2v3.
fanboy.
Yeah, he's a Renekton fan, man.
Okay.
Like every time. But that's going to be the bot lane now, the focus for TME, seeing as both... okay, it's actually not the tower for mid lane, but some damage onto that, plus the 2 kills. So now the focus is here on the bot lane. How will they respond? They have quite some damage for the wave clear. Ooh.
But that's definitely quite worrisome because that is already a 3K gold lead, inching up to 4, and we just hit 4K gold lead for the Manila Eagles over Infuse Esports at 14 minutes in. And that's a lot of items already advanced compared to what Infused is bringing to these fights. So if anything, Infused has to be avoiding these and slowly catch up to the lead.
Trevor in trouble. But here comes Suzaku. But yeah, Trevor is ahead, really ahead in terms of itemization. 2-0-3 plus 5 wave advantage over Yato CS means that he has the freedom to build the Merc Treads, important against Yato. The Tear of the Goddess too can scale up, and then the Roa as well for more scaling and that mana and health and AP. So yeah, that is ahead in terms of that, plus a top laner as well. Look at the CS difference between Flash to Die and Suzaku. Even with Flash to Die saving the bot lane's butts a lot, I think that leaving Suzaku alone is going to be really troublesome. Here we go.
You're picking a fight in the mid lane. Repel back by Path to Walk because that is currently a 3v4. We do have the barrel there being used to push them back, but not by much. And that's exactly it. At this point, actually, TME doesn't need to take Dragon. They just have to continue exerting pressure and maybe pick some fights. It's quite funny that it's actually Infuse who's instigating these fights.
They are, and because of how the rotations have been, the pressure coming into the mid lane means that they are free to take this turret, this Ocean Drake, while Marky has a lot of time there for the bot lane turret. You can see that it's below half its health, which means that TME seems to be still on point on the rotations and the macro play against Infuse. And let's see, Suzaku continuing that split push in the top lane. Seems like he will go for this recall to get the Black Cleaver. Seems like he has the gold for it.
Yeah. And the first, so that first dragon has gone into the hands of TME, and the next Drake will be the Infernal Drake.
It's going to be so good for Infuse if they can take it, but TME getting that Infernal Drake onto their carries plus Suzaku means Infuse is going to have a bad time today.
Actually, that might actually even seal this game, because at this point, they have a considerable lead over Infused Esports, and they barely hit the 20-minute mark. I'm not sure how Infused is going to stay afloat. They definitely need to farm up some more, take their time, but TME is not going to allow them to do that. We have Suzaku here just going in there. If they're not going to force a fight, they're gonna just be pressuring Infused out of those lanes, because I feel like Infused has slowly realized that they can't take any fight at this moment.
Any fight that Suzaku participates in is going to be a straight-up win for TME. And because of how much pressure he is exerting, with his Black Cleaver and Tiamat being able to just push in Flash to Die and have double his CS, means that he's a super big Renekton right now. Even if he doesn't participate in a fight directly, he's still exerting a lot of pressure. If he gets a time alone on that top lane, second tier turret, it's gonna be gone. If Flash to Die needs to stand united to help his team, that means Suzaku will get more gold for his team. And if TME can just kite it out, or at least even fight it 4v5 or 4v4, it means that's gonna be have a lot of value gained by Suzaku for his team.
Yeah, TME playing it smart. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, we have a teleport play here onto Trevor. Almost dies through the ultimate of Yato. Suzaku a little bit late, but definitely not needed anymore, because his mid lane does survive that. And I guess this is going to have to be Infuse's answer. They will have to do their best to get some picks every now and then. Although the window of opportunity already for Path to Walk has kind of passed, but he still has some use when it comes to getting those picks. If they manage to make the environment clear. Meanwhile, Jisoo out of position there, and Flash to Die has to be forced to save him. They do not manage to pull that off, and instead get the kill onto him. And this is the scary thing with that, because while they are looking for picks themselves, they are also rendering themselves very vulnerable. And here instead of a kill on Suzaku, Path to Walk perishes because of Trevor and Suzaku's power.
Yeah, Yato had no mana to help out his jungler there, which means it's going to be a kill plus another turret in the hands of TME, which extends their gold lead to 7k. And that's going to be another, which is actually 7.5k at this point.
Yeah, and with no teleport or ultimate to save him, Flash to Die is in quite trouble there. And Trevor actually goes, uses his ultimate to go to blue buff, expecting Flash to Die to dash there, but no. Instead, they leave everyone else there. But good thing that Shadow was also there to help out.
So powerful. 3-1-1, 176 CS means he's pulling a lot of pressure, which means Path to Walk has to go to him to match his threat. Yato has to be wary and has to stay near the turret, which means that the bot lane is free to continue pushing the second tier turret. And imagine Suzaku with Glimpse of the Void from the Rift Herald.
And now
every team fight is going to be a win.
Yeah, exactly. You just really have to leave Suzaku now, and he's just going to be a complete threat on his own. And now TME already is 8,000 gold ahead of Infused Esports, and we haven't still reached the 20-minute mark. This
TME,
is
really convincing.
A serious problem for Infused Esports.
And especially with the top lane Renekton having so much value, so much gold under his belt, it means Flash to Die's Stand United has less value. Because if Suzaku gets to his target and then Flash to Die responds with a Stand United, it'll be too late because he will deal too much damage to either Yato or Jisoo. And if he goes for a preemptive one, maybe Suzaku can just switch targets.
No, Path to Walk was trying to blind the Cocoon to the other side. That was just kind of funny. But yeah, exactly that. I mean, it's this. Path to Walk has not been effective at all
A lot of assists, but
they were hinging on that. And now it seems as if they don't know what exactly to do now. But instead, they do manage to catch Shadow out of position there. And they've gained the advantage here. There's 2 people left on the side of TME. We have the waves coming in from Dawn. And are they going to seal their fates? Yes, they are. They have 2 people down there. And now Coop is in trouble. He does his best to run away. And the rest of TME is not going to respond to this anymore.
Will they go for a Baron play? It might be dangerous. Suzaku is there and Marky has the slicing Maelstrom. This is such a bad call for Infuse if they follow
really yummy
through.
For Suzaku.
Yeah, so they do pull away from it. And yeah, I think to be fair to Hechizo, Path to Walk, he has been pulling out a lot of pressure. It's just that I don't think his laners have been taking advantage of it enough to snowball. Last game, he really wasn't pulling out a lot of pressure. I don't think he was comfortable in that Lee Sin. But in this game, I think he's doing as much as he can, but his laners aren't strong enough to match against the opposing laners. And
they're also relying a lot on Flash to die.
He has 90% kill participation this game, which is huge. That can't be ignored. And I think Push to Walk is really breaking his back, trying to apply pressure for his team, trying to snowball them, but it's just not happening. Yato, Jisoo, their decision making when it comes to taking fights just throws away the leads that Push to Walk tries to give them.
There we have a nice initiation there by Push to Walk, but will they be able to follow up with his efforts? It seems not, because Dragon has already been taken by TME.
I think he was trying to do the execution with the Venomous Bite.
Yeah,
but he got stunned beforehand.
Path to Walk is doing his best. He's not shining because, again, we touched on this earlier. For him to shine, the rest of his team has to pull their own weight. And with their laners relying heavily on him and on Flash to die to save them from really sticky situations, all they can do is keep themselves afloat, and barely at that. TME is still leading by 7,000 gold, and they do have 2 Drakes, the Rift Herald, and they're actually gunning for
the Baron here would actually be really good for Infuse, but they might just get brute force engaged by TME if they go for a siege.
TME just has some trap.
This is like a Titanic situation here for Infuse. It's like, yes, they're keeping themselves afloat, but the environment around them is so cold, so oppressive that they might just die of frostbite. What's happening here is exactly that, and Suzaku, being so scary, has the Ravenous Hydra already completed. Seems like Infuse is not taking the bait for that top lane, though, because, yeah, they're playing around Suzaku. Suzaku is gonna inevitably pull some pressure from Path to Walk, which means that they can collapse 3v2, if 3v3 actually, with a support if ever.
Oh no, we have a fight breaking in on both sides here. Yato on the side with Suzaku, but on the other hand, they've also taken a hold of Kups and have whittled him down. But with a 3v4, Infused is going to have trouble setting this up.
You do not want to be near Suzaku.
Is in the face of Suzaku right now, and Suzaku scares him away. We have Jisoo. I'm actually very concerned at where they're passing for these fights. It's very scary and very precarious positioning on everyone's side.
It seems like Trevor. Actually, I like how they're using Trevor to split push instead of Suzaku. They're using Suzaku to pull pressure, which means that they can get the jump on Infused. While on the other hand, since Flash to Die is building almost all armor, just built the Spectre's Cowl now, it means that he can just really fight against Flash to Die. Here comes Suzaku, though.
Oh no, Suzaku has been separated from the rest of his team. He's in trouble, and there's no one close enough to respond. Kups and Marky are doing their best to get close to him, and it takes everything for Infuse to just make sure they secure that kill onto Suzaku, but they do, and that is a small win. On the other hand, exactly that. They've just lost an inhibitor for that kill. It's not worth it at this point.
And Suzaku, actually, Suzaku sacrificing himself for that inhibitor. That's really the threat he can bring out, is that for them to try and shut down Suzaku.
Waste time
waste time on him and then lose the inhibitor for it. That's how much threat that Suzaku is pulling out. So
and
it's
I
really
feel like
dangerous.
Infused has really played entirely into the hands of TME here. We expected, it seemed like they were going for the same draft, but it seems they were one step ahead of Infuse. Infuse, of course, responding to what they did in the first game, and TME bringing out the real threats here. Suzaku really shining. Of course, we've already known Suzaku to be an excellent top laner in the past, but right now, Shadow is in trouble. A lot of damage coming in from Yato and Jisoo there, but of course, it's no big deal for them to save their support.
And really, yeah, as you said, they're always one step ahead. The Manila Eagles always out-rotate Infuse. Whenever Infuse tries to falls for the bait, they're already like 2 steps ahead, rotate to another objective and then take that, whether it's turrets, whether it's Drake. And it might actually be Baron, the next target, because both of these teams are capable of taking Baron. They both have Blades of the Ruined King. So if ever someone misplays, and it seems like right now Infuse has a lot more room to misplay, because TME can just exploit them and then actually force them to make mistakes by exerting pressure. Means that the Baron is easily in the eyes of TME, and Infuse really needs to be able to match the pressure. Look at Suzaku still going to the top lane, Kups and Shadows still playing around him, and the vision control in the top side means it's so scary for TME to try and even go near that top lane.
Suzaku's just hiding in the brush, waiting for the perfect opportunity.
He's a ruthless predator.
Exactly. And I think, of course, Infuse is doing their best as well to get picks. They're putting in they're trying to put in vision, trying to contest all of that control over jungle and over the main objectives right now. So definitely kudos to them for still putting up a fight. And even the kill score is toe-to-toe, but it's really the painful thing about this is the gold lead has been consistently in the favor, and by a lot. That's 1/5.
And really, yeah, the kill score is there, but the objective game from TME was way too much. The pressure from Suzaku, I keep saying pressure from Suzaku because he's exerting so much of it. Since minute 1, he's been trying to bully Flash to die in, which means that...
And now he has Guardian Angel.
Yeah, so he's way much harder to take down. Imagine after you kill him, he gets out of Guardian Angel...
So what are the options here for Infuse? If they tunnel vision onto Suzaku, that just gives free reign for Trevor to split push and take down turrets for them. And if they don't, they lose valuable assets, valuable opportunities like Baron. They lose a turret. They lose an opportunity to get a pick off. And yeah, I'm at a loss.
They can't opt to draw the game out because it means Ryze and Kennen will just scale. Yato and Jisoo will have a harder time one-shotting people. Path to Walk as well will have to go for a more cleanup role and a stun bot role in terms of the web. So it's really hard for them because the way they've been playing is they're playing the game as it is. They're not playing 5 minutes ahead. They're not playing 3 minutes ahead, which makes it very hard for them to match TME, and that's not something you can fix in the middle of a game.
Yeah.
So it's really something that they have to be mindful of because it seems like TME already has this in the bag, but TME has been doing over-aggressive plays. If Infuse is going to take some resources away from TME, it's from when they overcommit.
Oh,
and this might be an opportunity.
Exactly that. In order to bully them away from the turret, they just go flash in right
at them.
But to keep them at bay, we have the tidal wave coming in from Dawn there. And they do manage to successfully defend this mid lane turret, but it's only going to be a matter of time. And that's exactly that. Infuse needs to figure out what TME's bigger objective is with taking these down. And they've already managed to force out the tidal wave out of Infuse. That means they can just rotate and put pressure here on the other side.
Yeah, the 10k gold lead means that they can offer a 3-2-0 configuration for their split push, which means that Infuse has to divide their resources so thinly. And it seems like that inhibitor is already
and that's also going to spell death for them.
So it's really hard for Infuse. I think Infuse really can't take away this win at this point because Suzaku is way too ahead to scale down, and whenever they try to make these over-aggressive plays, they can still brute force because of how huge their gold lead is.
Yeah, basically TME just has to force everything because they are at this position to that. They have the luxury to do that.
They will actually be the game.
Exactly that. That's 3 people down. Flash die. Cannot do anything more. That's a double kill onto Suzaku to add to his ever-growing record of kills here. That's 15 already. And 2 turrets, it seems. And eventually, this is gonna be game for TME. They are going to be taking away one slot, and they managed to defend their place in the PGS with this win. So again, guys, Game 2 is going to the Manila Eagles. They successfully defend their slot. Congratulations! But again, GG and well played as well to Infused Esports for doing their best to fight for a slot. And again, guys, you are still watching the Garena Pro Gaming Series promotions and relegations.
Of course, since that series is over, this is a best of 3. So 2 wins means that the Manila Eagles definitely keeps their slot. Yeah. And then Infused has to get back from that in Piltover's finest. It's actually sad because I really like Hechizo, Path to Walk, as a jungler. You can see that he was really breaking his back, trying to put pressure for his team, but unfortunately, the weight was way too heavy.
Well, if anything, you know, the opportunity here for the individual players at promos and relegations is if they do manage to show an impressive performance, they could still be picked up by any of the remaining teams that do get into the PGS.
Because I think Hechizo really is one of the strongest junglers right now in the Philippines. Coming from Spring Split, his record was very good, like even surpassing Tamsu. Tamsu's performance in Spring Split wasn't as impressive as it was in the previous season, but Hechizo was just popping off with like a 72% kill participation. And you can see here that the damage is spread out pretty evenly. As I said, it's a pretty high damage composition. But the damage coming from Suzaku, just way too much, 18,000.
Yeah. He became too much of a threat there, and Infuse really didn't have an answer for it. Congratulations, of course, to the Manila Eagles for managing to defend their slot there. So they're going to enjoy one more split and maybe even make it to the championships of the summer split. So congratulations, but at the same time, Infused Esports, of course,
well played.
All is not lost. Again, if the players manage to get picked up by any of the teams, you might see them at the Pro Gaming Series. If not, they still have Piltover's finest to fight it out for the next time. But guys, the excitement is not over. There's more esports action for the rest of the day. We still have 2 more matchups for the promos and relegations here, so stay tuned. Again, we are your shoutcasters. My name is Aika, and with me here is Atlas. Just been cornered, but before anything can happen, they've just completely taken out the AD carry Jisoo there, and with a response by Flash to Die, they might be able to get more, but instead it's a 1-2 actually.
Teleport's not up yet.
Well has gone down there, and Shadow was already a little bit bright for that kill. Right now, Yato and Path to Walk are here to respond. They managed to keep Trevor on the side there. And Suzaku might
never
be in trouble,
mind.
but instead, he manages to turn the table. He gets a double kill.
And whenever you try to make these over-aggressive plays, they can still brute force because of how huge their gold lead is.
Yeah, basically, TME just has to force everything because they are at the position for that. They have the luxury to do that.
They will actually be the game.
Exactly that. That's 3 people down. Flash die. Cannot do anything more. That's a double kill onto Suzaku to add to his ever-growing record of kills here. That's 15 already. And 2 turrets, it seems. And eventually, this is gonna be game for TME. They are going to be taking away 1 slot, and they managed to defend their place in the PGS with this win. So again, guys, Game 2 is going to the Manila Eagles. They successfully defend their slot. Congratulations! But again, GG and well played as well too.
Welcome to the League of Legends Champion Spotlight, featuring Galio, the Colossus.